Hi! Last time, niyara kita questions about sa kinematics in one dimension. So, we decided to have a Q&A video plus more problems. By more problems, I think we'll just solve the activity nga hatag sa aton last time. So, anyways, let's start. First question here. So, ang X-miss, kung sa problem, paano mo ma-identify na iyan na siya ka X? May meters, x sa dayon, pag meter per second naman, velocity. Okay, so how do you identify that? In problems, there are usually three factors or three values na ginagiven: displacement, velocity, kag acceleration. Sometimes, instead of saying displacement and velocity, they say distance and speed. Okay. Now, ang aton sining mga values, ang ilang units are meters, meters per second, and meters per second squared. The only difference between the two is these are vectors, meanwhile these are scalars. So, from our prelim topic, vectors, to remind you, are values that both have magnitude and direction. Meanwhile, scalars, magnitude lang din siya. Therefore, ang ating vectors can have a negative na sign because of its direction. Meanwhile, ang ating scalar, since magnitude lang siya, absolute value lang nasa. Okay. For you to understand this, ilungguhan nyo ha, distansya. So, yung unit meters. Ang speed kada sigon niya. So, meters per second. Acceleration, wala ko mayo pa-explain sina sa Ilonggo, pero amo na siya bala kumbaga ang gatulod para magdasig pagid ang imong salakyan. Wala. Sometimes in English, they define it as, they say that acceleration requires a force to move the object, meanwhile velocity doesn't. Siya. To identify this sa inyong formula, displacement or distance is symbolized by x. Meters per second, diri yung velocity, that's v, of course, and acceleration is a. Okay? And it's only x because horizontal motion pa lang kita. Note nyo na ha? X na siya tungod horizontal motion pa lang kita. Now, if you see xi and xf, vi, vf, so when you see I, that's simply initial, and f is final. Okay, so, remember that. Okay, next question. So, mga constant speed, average speed, blah, 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 constant velocity. So, as you remember, speed and velocity, they're quite the same. Instead, the other is vector, the other scalar. So, how do you identify that? Now, we have here an image. Halini siya sa PDF naton. This car moves at constant velocity, therefore zero acceleration. So one thing you have to remember, constant velocity means zero acceleration. Okay. Ang ato na car, it has its own velocity. Let's say, hinay lang siya, 30 kilometers per hour. Because of that, constant siya gani, wala naga-change ang iya nga velocity. And acceleration only happens when there is a change in velocity. So, since it's constant, ang iya velocity wala naga-change, zero na ang iya nga acceleration. Okay, so note that, wala taon nyo, steady lang yung velocity, wala kita sa acceleration. We have another two things here to consider. So, the car has constant acceleration in the direction of its velocity. So, if your acceleration is constant, your velocity is not anymore constant. Or, let's erase this. Paano na siya plus star? Okay. So, constant acceleration does not mean constant velocity. Because at this point, ang imong velocity is changing. Okay. Let's see from the image here, you may start from 30 kph. Dason ma-move na siya into 40 kph and then it moves to, let's say, 50 kph. That is for, let's say, every hour. Every hour nga travel, yeah. So, with that, ang aton velocity increases by increments of 10. And that is your acceleration. If your acceleration is according to its velocity sa imong object, so positive na siyang acceleration. There are also instances wherein ang aton nga acceleration is opposite the velocity. So with that, negative naman na iya nga acceleration. So diri positive acceleration, diri negative acceleration. Okay. So, di ka mo magkabalaka nga may negative ka mga value kay si acceleration naton vector. Kung negative na gani ang acceleration naton, so, plus A, negative A, mayara kita sa term nga ginatawag deceleration. So, gapahinay na siya. Gapahinay. Gapahinay or gitapakan mo na ang brake. So, naka-brake na siya. Meanwhile, oops. Dandan mo ba? Yara, magkita plus V kag negative V. Okay. So, positive velocity, goods na. Ang negative velocity naman niya, forward niya siya ang positive velocity. Ang negative velocity naman niya is moving backward. Sa Ilonggo, nag-isol. So, nag-isol naman kita yasin eh. Okay. May naman kita positive x kag negative x. So, displacement naman ni kinastoryahan kung x no. Kung positive x, kapakadto siya sa east. Kung negative x, pakadto naman siya sa west. Base ni siya sa inyo nga number line. So, 0 natin is origin. So, kung pakadto siya dito, positive ng x. Pero kung gapaisol naman siya, pakadto dito, so west na siya. Because I think, may question kita sina. I-check ko lang ha. Ari ang question, So, miss clarify ko lang man dayon. Diba, miss kung velocity, magbalik siya sa starting position na negative. So, kagina, nag-present kita nga if ang car natin gapaisol, therefore, ang aton na velocity ga negative. There's also the possibility that, kung gaisol ka, ang imo nga car, iya nga ulo. Dito Japan gatubang sa diri mo. Dito Japan gatubang ang iya nga ulo. Pero ang imong motion is gapakadto dito, di ba? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as having the car face this direction, pero ang iya nga movement, iya nga velocity is pakadto dito. So wala kaso. So just because dito siya gatubang, dito siya gatubang, so wala na sa gaisol, does not mean nga ang imong velocity ma-positive na ha. Kay anyways, ang imong displacement is still going to the west. So, yeah, imong velocity negative man na siya Japon. Ang acceleration mo mismo negative man na sa medyo budlay i-discuss because we have a certain standard for gravitational pull. So, for now, danay guys, itandaan nyo lang basta negative yung acceleration, kapahinay na siya, butangan yung brake. Amo na danay nyo, imagine. Alright, so amo na siya guys, nga negative siya. So that's why, according to this question, na acceleration gasugod sa dasig, tapos kapahinay, deceleration na siya. This part of his question applies. Okay? Mayara pagit tayo sa mga question. So, example naman din sa mga objects nga wala sa rest. Ano ang iya sinang xi? We have a problem prepared for that. But before we proceed there, to remind you guys, if you see the object is at rest sa problem, ang word nga at rest, rest na lang. So, ang word nga rest, that means ang imong xi, ang imong vi is 0 meters per second. If you don't see from rest or at rest, you can also see the word starting, position, So, bantayan nyo nga mga terms. So, immediately, xi nyo and vi nyo, na siya. Okay, because for the formulas that we are using so far, out of the 5, isa sa ila is for constant velocity. And then ang 4 para sa constant acceleration. Pero kung i-notice nyo guys, ang aton diri nga formula, those same sila o xf, may xi, ano na. Pero ang vt naton, ang v naton sa constant velocity, since wala man siya ka-change, v lang na siya. Pero sa acceleration naton yung constant, medyo laba-laba ang iyang equivalency na. Okay. So, ang matabo sina, paano na siya na, or how did it come to be? Ang V naton will be substituted with the V average. If you're really interested, ari ang iyang derivation. I think I've discussed this in a previous video, but if you're interested with the math, screenshot. Ara siya. Malaba-laba ning explanation. And all of them are colored for you. So, yeah, do the math. Okay. So, going back, no? Yeah. Basically, they're derived from the same formula, pero na-expand lang, amo na, chu-chu, cha-cha. Now, i-erase ko ni siya, kay kilanglanon ko ni ang set of formulas for our problems. Pagama yun. And then, i-plus star dito sa gilid. Okay. As for the request, here's a problem wherein ang atong VI is not 0. So, a car brakes from a speed. So, from the word speed, we know that's going to be V. From, so sugod-sugod na initial, 108 kilometers per hour. To, sugod silang final na siya nga speed, 72 kilometers per hour. Ang displacement naton, so x na siya, is 100 meters. What is the acceleration? Question mark. Now, regarding our x, so displacement niya is 100 meters, wala kita kabalo kung anong xi, kagang iya nga xf. But what we know is this. Whatever that xi and xf is, ang na-cover niya sina nga displacement is 100 meters. Therefore, ini siya nga 100 meters is actually delta x. And you know that delta x stands for xf minus xi. No? Tagda ka mo din. Okay. Now, let's choose the formula to use. Xf equals xi plus vt. Hindi pwede, kay wala kita a, kag may t. Same with this one. May a kita, pero may t. Wala kita value for t. Another one, vf is equal to vi plus at. Hindi man magamit. No? And the last one down here, wala kita sang a. Mo pa naman nakilang lalunta. So, this means the formula that we are going to use is Vf squared equals Vi squared plus 2a times Xf minus Xi. Okay. Because we have Vi, Vf, may a kita nga kailanganon, and then Xf minus Xi is just 100 meters from the definition of delta x. Okay. Halo nga mo guys, kaya nga aton diri nga units are not the same. As you can see, ang aton nga delta x is naka-meters. So, it's up to you. Anong gusto nyo? I-convert nyo siya ang v naton into meters per second or convert your x to kilometers instead. Sa akon, since do kahapos lang ni siya yao, so ang himuon ko na lang, si delta x naton, i-convert na siya into kilometers. So, ang aton nga vf is going to be 72 kilometers per hour squared equals a VI naton 108 kilometers per hour squared plus 2a, and then ang xf minus xi naton is just 0.1 kilometers na lang. So, ang ginapaabot naton dire, ang acceleration naton will be in the form of kilometers per hour squared. Once that happens, let's convert that to meters per second squared. Okay? So, ginuna ko lang danay convert si 100 meters kay simple lang siya, isa lang siya mo kaysa sa ma-convert ko di duwa, no? So, style na lang Now, 72 squared is, dako na siya, 5184 kilometers per hour squared. And then, 108 squared is 11664 kilometers per hour squared plus 2a times 0.1 kilometers. Okay. And then, pagamayon, tali siya danay tanan. para may space kita. Okay, i-resume ko na yun. Okay. So, nag-gets nilang danaya. So, matamaton tani ang mass sine. So, matabo ang duwa ka similar nga mga units iting bunta. 5184 minus 11664 kilometers per hour squared. Oops. Equals 2a times 0.1 kilometers. Okay. So, hindi ka mo makibot, ma-negative di siya kay gapahinay mo may break. So, from the previous discussion, hopefully, nadumduman nyo to siya. Negative 6480 kilometers per hour squared equals 2a 0.1 kilometers. Okay. So, idugong ko pag siya gamay. Now, ang aton sini nga 2 kag 0.1 transpose sa piyak. So, ang matabo, ang aton nga A mapabilin dili nga side, and then you have negative 6480 kilometer squared over r squared na naisulat ko over 2 times 0.1 kilometers. So, ang kilometers naton makancel ni ang isa para mabilin kilometers per hour squared. So, ang A naton is 6480 nga negative 6480 divided by 2 times 0.1. That is negative 32,400 kilometers per hour squared. So, this is still acceleration. This is legit. You have, kumbaga, meters sa babaw, unit for distance, and then unit for time sa dalom, hours squared. The problem is, i-convert na siya into meters per second squared in a form nga may tsindihan nyo. I-erase ko na siya ha. I need space, man. Yeah, screenshot. And then, erase ko na Oops. Basi matandublaw. Okay. Erase. All I need is this value for acceleration. Okay. Negative 32,400 kilometers per hour squared. So, ma-convert kita sina, 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Next, 1 hour is 3,600 seconds, but since naka-square siya, i-square ka na da. Dindako ko lang ang to para hindi ka mo makalimot sina. Kilometers, cancel. Ang hours na ton, cancel na ni siya. Okay? And then, ang input nyo guys, ang isulat nyo dito sa inyo calculator is negative 32,400 times 1,000. Pwede ka man ka times 1 squared, pero 1 squared is just 1 by inanasa over 3,600 squared ni siya. Kaya may squared Ha? Di nyo gid pagkalimtan ha? Okay. And then, ang units nyo, meters per second squared. Supposedly, ang makuha nyo nga value is negative 2.5 meters per second squared. This is the acceleration of the car in our problem. Okay. Yung pagkalimtan si squared So, imagine that if from the beginning sa aton to nga velocity, gin-convert ato ang duwa, medyo, amo na balahaw. But in this case, kin-convert ko danay si displacement naton, 100 meters into kilometer. And then, pagkapatas ng acceleration, gin-convert ko siya to meters per second squared. So, depende sa inyo kung anong style nyo. Basta you end up with values that have the units nga familiar with sa aton. Acceleration, meters per second squared. Negative siya because nag-break ang aton nga car. So, this is one example wherein ang aton VI is not 0.